What's up, guys? We're back with a full slate of MLB action here on Wednesday, June 19th. Pretty nice winning Tuesday out there, guys. Things went well for us right out of the gates. We hit the Reds minus 134 and the Phillies minus 148. They came through for us in a close come-from-behind game. The Seattle-Cleveland under did not hit. Shocker of the year. Just a crazy, wildly unpredictable offensive outburst in that one. Baltimore plus 130. They tried to make a late-game comeback in that one, but couldn't quite get it done. We did see the Boston Red Sox get the job done for us there in their game, so that was nice for them to come through there with the 4-3 win. We capped things off for the night with a solid win there on the Brewers minus 130. They tried to make things weird there, even despite going into the ninth inning up 6-0. They ended up winning 6-3 and having the tying run at the plate, but they came through for us, put the win on the board. That's a 4-2 day, guys. That will definitely work. Let's keep things rolling as we get into the middle of the week here with another full slate. First, do me a big favor and hit that like button, guys. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description and go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking today and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day, guys. We are looking at the Detroit Tigers going on the road to take on the Atlanta Braves. The Tigers come into this game fresh off of another loss, guys. They've now lost 3 straight. They lost 2-1 in both of their first 2 games to open this series at Atlanta. They're down to 34-39 on the season. Handing the ball in this one to Tyreek Skubal, hoping that he can, stem the bleeding here. He is 8-2 this season with a 2.20 ERA. Coming off of one of his worst starts of the year, guys, he gave up 4 runs on 6 hits over 6 1/3 innings against the Houston Astros. A big fall off after a 10 strikeout game there against the Milwaukee Brewers. In general, obviously, Skubal has been amazing this season. Been very good. He's not even that old of a guy, only 27 years old. Big things ahead for him. Obviously, coming off of a bad start, we find him in a little bit of a bounce back spot. Will the bullpen be able to hold things down for the Tigers when he eventually comes out of the game, though? Seems possible. I mean, a 3.84 bullpen ERA has them right there around MLB average. So, not a terrible bullpen, but maybe not one that we trust as like a lockdown bullpen necessarily. Can we trust this team to score any runs right now? Absolutely not, guys. They come into this game fresh off of their 3rd straight game in a row, scoring only a single run. Yeah, 3 runs over their last 3 games. Not a great look. This offense swinging some very cold bats right now. They're not really running anybody up there to the plate that I'm super afraid of. They are 17th in the majors in runs scored, but that's a number that's a bit skewed by some weirdly huge offensive outbursts. I mean, they scored 13 runs in one game there at Houston. They scored 10 runs in one of their games against the Brewers, but this is just not a great offense overall. 25th in the majors in batting average, 27th in the majors getting on base at a 298 clip. Like, just not a very good offensive team. So definitely some big questions about whether or not they're going to be able to score any runs in this game. Going up against the Atlanta Braves, who are 40-31 on the year now. They've now won 5 out of their last 6 games. They're handing the ball in this game to Reynaldo Lopez, who's 4-2 this season with a 1.69 ERA. He's coming off of a dominant start there against the Baltimore Orioles. Yeah, a very good hitting team, guys. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 hits and no runs. He struck out 8 and walked 1. Very good outing there. We've seen him look very good over his last 5 starts. He hasn't given up more than 2 earned runs in any of those. Not exactly a murderer's row of opponents that he faced there necessarily, but, some decent ones in there. A good start against San Diego, decent start at Pittsburgh, at Washington, he looked very good. So he's mowing down whoever you put in front of him. The Braves bullpen has been above average this year for sure, guys. A 3.68 bullpen ERA is nothing to turn your nose up at, so we're not too worried about that. They're not really swinging the hottest bats right now, guys. I mean, only 4 runs over the first 2 games of this series. And you got to go up against Skubal here. That doesn't feel great, probably. Ozuna's trying to carry the load for this team. I mean, he's doing his best. He got off to an insane start. He's cooled off some, but he's still hitting 320 on the season with 20 home runs. Like, dude is absolutely killing it out there. This team is 15th in the majors in runs scored, 16th in the majors in on-base percentage. They're slugging the ball at a 406 clip, so that's pretty solid. That's 8th in the majors, but we'll see what they can actually do here going up against one of the best young pitchers in the major leagues right now. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Tigers are plus 110. The Braves are minus 125. We got an over-under in this game of 7.5. I'm not really too sure which side to go with in this one, guys. I tend to lean slightly towards the Braves, thinking they could get the job done maybe once Skubal comes out of the game, but I think this is a great no-run first inning game. I think this is a pretty reasonable under in the first 5, or maybe even under 7.5 in general might be my main lean in this game. It's a tough look, though, because Detroit is 40, 30, and 3 to the over this season. Obviously, Atlanta is a great under team. They're 41, 27, and 3 to the under, so not really sure which way to go in this one necessarily. If you're forcing me to bet it, give me the Braves at minus 125 to get the job done once Skubal comes out of the game, but I think no run first inning in this game is a pretty good spot. Next on the docket, guys, we get the Cincinnati Reds going on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Reds come into this game fresh off of a 2-1 win there in game 2 of this series. Thank you for coming through there, Dolo and the Reds. Cincinnati is now 35-38 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Hunter Green. He's 5-2 this year with a 3.61 ERA. He's coming off a very good start there against the hard-hitting Milwaukee Brewers. He went 5 innings, gave up only 2 earned runs on 3 hits. He did walk 5 in that game, so control can occasionally be an issue for him, don't get me wrong, but he also struck out 5, and he's looked pretty good over his last 5 starts. We see that the Reds are 3-2 over those starts, and that is 2 starts against the Dodgers, 2 starts against the Cubs, and then his last start there against the Milwaukee Brewers. So, definitely a lot of credit due to this young guy. Only 24 years old. He's looking very, very good out there. The Reds bullpen in general is trending in the right direction, guys. A 3.87 bullpen ERA isn't necessarily amazing, but when you spend half of your games pitching at the Great American Ballpark, got to give them a little bit of leniency there. And in general, they've been looking very good recently. The Reds bats, maybe not looking great recently. I mean, they only scored 2 runs there in this win. They've scored 2, 1, 4, and 1 run, respectively, over their last 4 games. They're 16th in the majors in runs scored, 20th in the majors in on-base percentage. Pretty bad batting average team, guys, batting .226 as a squad. So we've got some big questions about the Reds offense right now, but they put up enough to get the job done there in game 2 of this series. So maybe they can turn things around here. They're going to be going up against the Pittsburgh Pirates, who come into this game fresh off of that loss. Obviously, they won 4-1 in game 1 of the series. They are 35-38 on the year. Also, they're handing the ball in this one to Mitch Keller, who's 8-4 this season with a 3.36 ERA. He's coming off of a kind of questionable start there against the St. Louis Cardinals, guys. He went 6 innings, gave up 8 hits and 4 earned runs to not the best hitting team. He also gave up 2 home runs in that game, which pretty big departure from his norm this season. He has not been a guy that's very likely to give up many home runs, so we'll see if he bounces back in this game. It seems pretty likely. He's going up against a very light hitting opponent. The Pirates bullpen in general this season, guys, has been a bit below average, a 3.99 bullpen ERA currently. Not looking amazing. Not a lot of faith in what they're going to be able to do after Mitch Keller comes out of this game. And honestly, guys, not a ton of faith in the Pirates bats. I mean, they haven't looked terrible recently. Obviously, only scoring 1 run in their last game is not a great look, but before that, they scored 4, 8, 4, and 5 runs respectively. We see Brian Reynolds is batting .274 this year. McCutchen is leading the team in home runs. I'm not going to make fun of his age, though. I love Andrew McCutchen. Don't get me wrong, guys. This team is 22nd in the majors in runs scored, though. Not looking great there. They're only getting on base at a 301 clip. This is just not an elite offense. Anyway, you want to cut it, not elite up there at the plate. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Reds at plus 100, the Pirates at minus 115. We've got over-unders of 8 or 7.5 in this game. Seems like a pretty tough pitching matchup, honestly. This could be another good spot for a no-run first inning play if you guys wanted to go that route. Also, I mean, looking at the over-under, there are 8s out there, so under 8 could be in play. If you're forcing me to take a side in this game, I think I slightly like the Pirates minus 115 with Mitch Keller out there to have something of a bounce back after a bad start there at St. Louis. But in general, guys, this one seems very much like a coin flip to me. Next up, we've got the San Diego Padres. They're going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. We saw the Phillies get that come from behind win for us there in game 2 of this series, so that felt pretty good. Put that win on the board. They won that one 4-3 thanks to Nick Castellanos walking it off for us with a hit down the right field line. We see the Padres have now lost 5 straight games. They're 37-40 on the year, handing the ball in this one to Matt Waldron, hoping he can stop some of the bleeding. He's 4-6 this season with a 3.66 ERA. He's coming off a very good start there against the Mets. He went 7 innings, gave 3 hits and 2 earned runs in a game that we saw the Padres lose 2-1. So got to be pretty disappointing to be a Padres pitcher, put up those kind of numbers and still take the loss. The Padres bullpen hasn't really been helping them out too much. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a complete disaster, but it's trending a little bit in that direction. A 4.07 bullpen ERA is not great. And yeah, just in general, this team not having a great time right now, guys. The hitters are not hitting. They've scored 3, 2, 6, 1, and 1 runs respectively over this losing streak here. They're down to 10th in the majors in runs scored. They're still somehow first in the majors in team batting average, but that is not seeming to matter too much. We're seeing Tatis cool off. We're seeing Profar cool off a little bit. Like, just in general, this is not a team that's feeling great to me right now at the plate, and in general, just not looking that great. They're taking on the Phillies, who have come back with a vengeance after losing series to the Red Sox and the Orioles. They've won the first 2 games of this series. It's been pretty competitive, which maybe not exactly what we expected in game 2 of the series at least, but they're 49-24 this season, handing the ball in this one to Ranger Suarez, who's 10-1 this year with a 1.77 ERA. He got back to his dominant ways in his last start, guys, at Baltimore, pitching at Camden Yards. He went 6 2/3 innings, gave only a single run. He gave up no home runs in that game. He struck out 6 and walked 2. He is just back to looking absolutely dominant out there, so gotta feel good with him out there on the mound if you're a Phillies fan. You also have to feel pretty darn good about this bullpen, guys. A 3.14 bullpen ERA has them 3rd in the majors, behind only the Yankees and the Orioles. They are looking just fantastic out there. Great pitching day. If you can run Ranger Suarez and then that bullpen out there, gotta feel great about that. Also have to feel pretty good about the bats in this series so far. I mean, only 4 runs there in game 2, but 9 runs in game 1. Seems like they're getting back on track. Schwarber's hitting a ton of home runs this season. I mean, 17 home runs, and the dude's batting over 250, which for him feels very reasonable. They're 4th in the majors in batting average, 6th in the majors in slugging percentage. They're getting on base at a 330 clip. Like, they are just looking great out there right now. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, I'm a little bit surprised to see the Phillies at minus only 156 with Ranger Suarez out there on the mound. We see the Padres at plus 136. We've got an over-under in this game of 8.5. The Padres are only 18-19 on the road. The Phillies are an MLB best 29-9 at home this season. Yeah, guys, not going to overcomplicate things in this one. You could definitely take a look at the Phillies minus 1.5 if you wanted to, but I'm not getting greedy. Again, we're taking the Phillies minus 156. I think this is a great spot for them to win this game. Hopefully, it won't require so much late game heroics here. I think they'll win this one comfortably. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're going on the road to take on the Washington Nationals. The Diamondbacks come into this game fresh off of a 5-0 win there in game 1 of this series. They've actually won 4 out of their last 5 games overall to work their way to 36-37 this season. They're handing the ball in this one to Brandon Pfaadt, who is 3-5 this year with a 4.38 ERA. He's coming off of a very good start there against the Angels. He went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, only a single earned run. He struck out 8 and walked 3 in that game. His numbers, while not overwhelmingly good, obviously, are trending in a positive direction lately. So we got to give the guy a little bit of credit. Are we looking at him as an elite starter out there? Not really. The dude's only 25 years old. He's definitely showing some inconsistency, which is what you'd expect from like 99% of young pitchers. And when it comes to the bullpen, guys, the Arizona Diamondbacks have not been good at all. They've been one of the worst bullpens in the major leagues this season. So as soon as he comes out of the game, we immediately have a lot of very big question marks about what this pitching staff is going to be able to do. The offense has been pretty great for this team all season long. Not going to lie, guys. They're 6th in the majors in runs scored, 8th in the majors in team batting average, batting over 250 as a squad. They're 7th in the majors in on-base percentage, getting on base at a 323 clip. Like, this is just a very good offensive team. Over their last few games, they've scored 5, 12, 2, 7, and 11 runs, respectively. Like, that's nothing wrong with that, guys. They are hitting the ball hard right now, and they're hoping they can keep that going up here against the Washington Nationals, who were 35-37 on the year after that loss. They're handing the ball in this one to Patrick Corbin, who's 1-7 this year with a 5.84 ERA. He's coming off of a good start, though. He went into Detroit and looked pretty good over 5 1/3 innings, giving up only a single earned run. I mean, he gave up 4 hits, struck out 4, and walked 2, so a good outing there, but we did see the Nationals lose that game 7-2. We also cannot help but notice, guys, that they are 0-5 over his last 5 starts, and a lot of those have not been very close at all. I would actually say all of those have not been very close at all. I think the closest one was like a 4-run game. So cannot feel too great with Patrick Corbin out there on the mound. The Washington bullpen, guys, hasn't been as bad as you would expect. A 3.84 bullpen ERA definitely has them around MLB average, maybe even just like a slight bit better than average. So that's something positive to look at for this team. The bats disappeared here in game 1, not gonna lie. Obviously getting shut out, not looking great. They've scored 5, 3, 4, and 8 runs respectively over their last 4 games, so not terrible, but the 3 games before this game 1 of the series were against the Miami Marlins. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. They're 23rd in the majors in runs scored. They're 20th in the majors, batting 235 as a team. Their slugging percentage is really bad, guys. Not a very good power team at all. They're getting on base at 306 clip. While not terrible, is also not amazing. They're not running a bunch of guys up there that I'm very scared of at the plate. So definitely some question marks about this offense. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Diamondbacks at minus 150. We see the Nationals at plus 136. We've got over-under showing in this game, guys, of 9 or 9.5. The Diamondbacks are only 17-19 on the road. The Nationals are only 16-18 at home. We see mixed trends towards the over-under, and they're not very big trends at all. So in general, guys, this is a little bit of a tough spot. I tend to just side with the Diamondbacks here, minus 150. I think they find a way to probably win this game. I mean, Patrick Corbin's been pretty bad. He is coming off a good outing, but he's about to go up against a very, very good hitting team. The question is, will the Nationals bats come alive? I tend to kind of doubt it. So the Diamondbacks minus 150 seems like a pretty reasonable spot. It could end up in the pinned comment. There's not, there's a significant chance of that. So we'll just wait and see what happens. But the Diamondbacks in a pretty good spot in this one. Next on the docket, guys, we have the Seattle Mariners going on the road to take on the Cleveland Guardians. The Mariners come into this game fresh off of an 8-5 win there in Game 1 of the series, a very high-scoring game, not something that we saw coming. They've won their last 4 straight. They've actually won 8 out of their last 9 games overall. They're up to 44-31 this season. They've got a 10-game lead there over the Astros and the Texans there in the AL West, so absolutely just cruising along. Handing the ball in this game to Bryan Woo, who's 3-0 this season with a 1.07 ERA. He did miss his last start with some injury concerns, but he's had a good amount of time off now, and man, has he been lights out when he's been out there this season, guys. He's looked fan-freaking-tastic. We see that the Mariners are 5-0 over his last 5 starts. His last time out on the mound was back on the 6th. He just completely dominated the Oakland A's, guys. He went 6 innings, gave 2 hits and no runs while striking out 6 and walking none. He has not walked a single hitter over his last 4 starts. Woo has just looked borderline unhittable out there, guys. As long as he is healthy, we expect very, very big things from him. The Mariners bullpen is sporting a 3.42 bullpen ERA. Obviously fantastic. No shocker there that this great pitching team has a fantastic bullpen, and the bats have come alive a little bit recently, guys. They scored 8, 5, 7, and 3 runs over their last 4 games. Nothing wrong with that for a team that hasn't been very good at the plate this year. They're 24th in the majors in runs scored, 28th in the majors in team batting average, but like I said, they've been swinging some hotter bats lately, so definitely some positives to find for them up at the plate right now. They're killing it in the AL West, so they're hoping they can keep things rolling here going up against the Guardians, who've now lost 3 straight and 4 out of their last 5 games overall to fall to 44-26 on the season. Getting Jose Ramirez back probably felt good, but was not enough to put them over the top. They're handing the ball in this game to Tanner Bybee, who's 4-2 this season with a 3.94 ERA. He's coming off of a pretty problematic start there against the Cincinnati Reds, guys. I mean, it was at Cincinnati. He gave up 4 earned runs on 4 hits. He had 2 home runs in that game, which at the Great American Ballpark, some weird stuff can happen. I mean, Bybee is not exactly a veteran out there. He's only 25 years old, so we can maybe cut him a little bit of slack, but both of his last 2 starts haven't looked amazing. They were both losses for the Guardians, so, things maybe not looking as great as they have at some points for Cleveland. I mean, they are still a very solid bullpen team, a 3.48 bullpen ERA, nothing wrong with that. The bats came alive for 5 runs there in that loss, but still a loss. They've scored 5, 6, and 0 runs over their last 3 games, all of which were losses. Obviously, getting Jose Ramirez back should be a boost, but I mean, maybe he's a little bit rusty. Who knows? We'll just have to see how their offense looks in this game. I mean, over the course of the season, it's been a pretty solid offense. Nothing wrong with that. Not a shock that a team with 44 wins has been putting up some pretty good offensive numbers. I mean, 8th in the majors in runs scored, 10th in the majors in on-base percentage. So we'll see what they can do up there against Bryan Woo, a guy who has shut down some pretty elite teams. The question for us in this game is he healthy? It seems like the odds makers have some questions about that too. We see the Mariners at plus 110 in this game. The Guardians at minus 122. We've got over-under showing of 8 or 7.5 in this one. Seattle is only 16-19 on the road. The Guardians are 21-8 at home, which is a pretty fantastic home record. I mean, Seattle is 43-28-3 to the under, so they're a big under team. So if you wanted to take a look at under 8 in this game, I could definitely understand that. But guys, I think we're going to have to back Bryan Woo in this game, assuming that he's actually healthy. I mean, they gave him plenty of time off. He should be good to go. We're taking the Mariners plus 110 in this game with a very solid chance to end up in the pinned comment. Woo out there on the mound is not something to turn your nose up at, and neither is the Seattle bullpen. Next up, guys, we got the Baltimore Orioles going on the road to take on the New York Yankees. The Orioles come into this game fresh off a 4-2 loss in game 1 of this series. We did see Aaron Judge exit that game after getting hit on the hand with a pitch, so we'll have to see if he's available for this game at all. The x-rays were negative, so we'll see what actually happens. But back to talking about the Orioles, guys. They've been playing pretty well lately, although they have lost 3 of their last 5 overall. They did win 2 games there against the Phillies. Basically, they won a series against the Phillies and a series against the Atlanta Braves. Dropping game 1 here against the Yankees is not the end of the world. They're hitting the ball in this game to Cade Povich. He's 0-1 this season with a 4.76 ERA. He's coming off of a solid start there against the Atlanta Braves, guys. He went 6 innings, gave it 5 hits and no earned runs, but now he's getting put to the real test going up against the New York Yankees. at Yankee Stadium. That's a pretty big ask for a 24-year-old, guys. A pretty freaking big ask. The Orioles bullpen has been the second best in the majors. It's edging up there. It's pretty much neck and neck with them and the Yankees. I mean, a 3.07 bullpen ERA is absolutely elite. The Orioles bats didn't look good in game 1 of the series. They tried to make a little bit of a late game comeback there, but ended up losing 4-2. This has been one of the better offenses in the majors, obviously, guys. I mean, 3rd in the majors in runs scored, 10th in batting average, batting nearly 250 as a team. They're the best slugging percentage team in the majors overall. Over the last few games, they've scored 2, 8, 6, 3, 4, and 4 runs respectively. So putting up some pretty decent numbers. Nobody like super slumping or anything for them. No big injury concerns. This team is just looking very, very good at the plate right now. So no complaints from me. No complaints whatsoever. They're hoping they can get a little bit back on track here going up against the Yankees, who come into this game 51-24 on the season after that bounce back win. They are handing the ball to Gerrit Cole in a very exciting season debut for him. I mean, last year he was obviously amazing. He's looked very, very good in his minor league rehab starts leading up to this. So big things are expected from him right out of the gate here. And I don't think there's any reason to doubt that that will happen. He's been throwing the ball great. This is obviously one of the best pitchers in the major leagues when healthy. So I'm expecting big things from him right out of the gate here. And the Yankees bullpen, obviously one of the best, or actually no, not one of the best bullpen in the majors so far this season. So can expect big things from them whenever he comes out of this game. I think he's been stretched out pretty well in his minor league starts. I can't remember how many innings he went in his last one, but overall, I think we can feel solid about him being able to put in at least 5 or 6 innings. And if you give the Yankees bullpen 6 solid innings, they are very likely to be able to close the door and end that game positively. So all good things for the Yankees pitching staff. The Yankees hitters came alive for 4 runs in game 1 of this series. I mean, maybe came alive is a little bit of a stretch. We have to be concerned here about Judge getting hit on the hand there. It's going to be a big deal whether or not he actually ends up playing in this game. The fact they took x-rays kind of makes me think there's going to be a lot of swelling involved, a lot of stiffness. Is he going to be able to really grip it and rip it in the very next day? Seems like a bit of a big ask to me. So we'll just have to wait and see if he actually ends up out there. But this is a team loaded with premium hitters. So if he ends up having to sit this game out, I don't think it's the absolute end of the world. But obviously, it's a net negative for this squad. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Orioles at plus 150. We see the Yankees at minus 172. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. We see Baltimore is an MLB best 22-10 on the road. We also see the Yankees are 22-10 at home. So, you know, that's a little bit of a wash. The Yankees are definitely a good home team. Seeing Cole out there on the mound definitely makes me lean towards the Yankees minus 172. Not a lot of faith here for me in Povich. I'm going to be leaning towards the Yankees minus 172 pretty aggressively in this game. If we see that Aaron Judge is going to play and he's miraculously healthy for this one, I would probably go ahead and take the Yankees minus 1.5, but we're going to bank on the idea that he's not going to be playing in this game or is not going to be healthy at a minimum. So just give me the Yankees minus 172 in this one. Not getting greedy. I think they reel off a win here with Cole making a very, very good start. Moving right along here, guys, we've got the Boston Red Sox going on the road to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. We saw Boston come back and get us the 4-3 win there in game 2 of this series. So they just keep cruising along. 4 straight wins for them. Now they're up to 39-35 on the season. Still 11.5 games back of the Yankees there in the AL East, but they've got plenty of time and plenty to play for. They're handing the ball in this game to Brian Bello, who's 6-4 this season with a 5.00 ERA. Coming off a kind of questionable start there against the Yankees. He only lasted 4 2/3 innings, gave up 6 hits and 4 earned runs. 5 runs overall. Not the best start. He's not really the Red Sox best starter, obviously, so have some questions about him out there on the mound. I mean, we do see that the Red Sox are 0-3 over his last 3 starts, including a loss there to the Chicago White Sox. That's pretty embarrassing stuff. The Red Sox bullpen has been very good this season and very good lately, which is admirable considering all the injuries they've gone through. A 3.47 bullpen ERA is excellent, and yeah, if the bats can keep putting up runs, guys, maybe this team can keep reeling off wins. I mean, they've scored 4, 7, 9, and 8 runs, respectively, over their last 4. Looking very, very good up there at the plate. They're now into the top 10 in runs scored. They're 5th in the majors in slugging percentage, which is very impressive. They're batting over 253 as a team. Their on-base percentage is excellent as well, getting on base at a 324 clip. Tyler O'Neill is back out there and hitting the ball well. I mean, just in general, this team, very, very good out there at the plate, and they're playing some of their best ball of the season. They're hoping they can keep things rolling here, going up against the Blue Jays, who obviously can't be too stoked about giving up that lead there in game 2. I mean, they're down to 35-38 on the year, not having a very good time. They're handing the ball to Kevin Gausman, who is 5-5 this season with a 4.08 ERA. He's coming off of a serviceable, I guess, start against the Cleveland Guardians. I mean, he gave up 8 hits in 5 1/3 innings. He did only give up 3 runs, so I mean, you know, take that for what it's worth. That's pretty good. He was coming off of a 9-inning start, though, and like I always say, if a guy has a crazy long start like that, it's usually pretty nice to fade him his next time out. So this could be a bit of a bounce back performance from him. We could see a little bit better of work out there from him on the mound, but just kind of have to wait and see for that one. I mean, the Blue Jays bullpen, not one that we're super in love with for all of the very obvious reasons. They're just straight up not having a good time this season coming out of the pen, and that's not something I expect to see change anytime soon, especially going up against a hot-hitting team like the Red Sox. And in general, the Blue Jays bats not looking great. 6 total runs, 3 runs in each game of this series so far, so that's not great. They were looking good there against Cleveland for a minute, but we see Vladimir Guerrero not exactly hitting the ball extremely well this year. In general, this team is 25th in the majors in runs scored, 24th in the majors in slugging percentage. Just slightly above average on base percentage. Just not a good hitting team, guys. All season long, they've struggled at the plate, and looking at the numbers for this game, it's a little bit shocking to see the Red Sox at plus 116, the Blue Jays at minus 121. I think that's more just an indictment of how Brayan Bello has looked recently. It's unfortunate he doesn't have a start against the Blue Jays for us to look at this season, but in general, guys, in this game, I'm leaning towards the Red Sox plus 116. I don't think we're going to see a huge game here from Gausman. If the Red Sox go ahead and yank Bello out of the game early and let the bullpen do its work, I think they could be in a good spot. Is this a game that I trust enough to end up in the pinned comment? I mean, Boston is 20-15 on the road. Toronto is only 18-17 at home. Both teams showing trends towards the under, but they're not, like huge trends. In general, I'm leaning towards the Red Sox plus 116, but this is not going in the pinned comment for me. Next up, guys, we've got the Tampa Bay Rays. They're going on the road to take on the Minnesota Twins. The Rays come into this game, well, they're actually currently playing right now in the bottom of the 8th with things tied up at 6 apiece. So we'll have to see how deep this game actually goes to see if we have to make any changes to the pinned comment or anything like that. If like we end up with burnt out bullpens and that changes things or anything like that. But definitely shaping up to be a pretty crazy ending there in Minnesota. The Rays come into this game obviously not having the best time this year. I mean, they're 34-38 on the season. They're handing the ball in this game to Taj Bradley, who's 2-4 this year with a 4.23 ERA. His last time out, he looked great against the Cubs. He gave up 2 runs. Neither one of them were earned over 7 innings. He struck out 11 in that game, and his last 2 starts have been very, very good ever since getting shelled by the Baltimore Orioles back on the 1st of this month. So we'll see if he can kind of keep that rolling here. I mean, is that a lock to happen? I don't think it's a lock, but I think there's a reasonable chance. He's definitely been showing improved stuff out there. The problem right now for the Rays has been their bullpen, guys. The all season long bullpen, not very good, leaving a lot to be desired out there, giving up a lot of runs. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they can hold on and, maybe pull out a win in this current game. But with their bullpen out there, seems like kind of a big ask to me. The bats have also been a problem for this team, guys. They're 26th in the majors in runs scored, 28th in the majors in slugging percentage. Just a terrible slugging percentage team, guys. Not a lot of sluggers on this roster. I mean, 19th in the majors on base percentage. They're only batting .232 as a team. Not a lot of guys that are running up there really scare you. I mean, their leading home run guy has 10 home runs and is batting .281. Like, just not a very good offensive team. They're going to have to put up some runs here against the Minnesota Twins, who come into this game. I mean, they're looking with the game that just the 8th inning just ended, and it's still 6-6. They won 5 in a row coming into that game. They're up to 40-32 on the season. They're handing the ball in this game to Joe Ryan. He's 5-5 this year with a 3.24 ERA. He's coming off of a very good start there against the Oakland A's. He's actually gone 7 innings, given up 2 earned runs over each of his last 2 starts. That was a start at Pittsburgh and a start at home against Oakland. So not exactly, the toughest offensive opponents there, but he's looked very good out there on the mound. And how tough of an offensive opponent are we putting the Tampa Bay Rays as? I would say not really elite. So yeah, looking at the Twins bullpen this year, it's left something to be desired for sure. I mean, a 4.22 bullpen ERA is not great. So we have our question marks about how things will go after Joe Ryan comes out of this game. But the Twins bats, man, they can kind of back you up. Over their last few games, I mean, they've scored obviously at least 6 in this one. 8 the game before, 6 the game before that, 6 the game before that. They had a 17-run game to finish off their series against the Colorado Rockies. Lots of great hitters out there. I mean, we see Carlos Correa batting .308. He's looking really good. This team's 11th in the majors in runs scored. They're 7th in the majors in slugging percentage, so plenty of power hitters up and down the lineup for them. They are 12th in the majors, getting on base at a .314 clip. Like, this is a team that can definitely score some runs. They've got some real hitters out there. They're trying to put some pressure and move up the standings there in the AL Central. So a lot of positive things lining up right now for the Twins, and the odds makers agree with that, guys. We see the Rays at plus 140 in this game, the Twins at minus 162. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. Both teams showing mixed trends to the over-under. Not really too interested in that. We see the Rays only 15 and 15 on the road. The Twins are 22 and 14 at home. That's starting to look fairly impressive. Guys, things could change about this game given how this current game ends or how deep this game goes. Like, this could be a very long game, but definitely leaning towards the Twins minus 162 with Joe Ryan on the mound. This certainly has a chance to end up in the pinned comment. Obviously, it's a little bit of a big favorite, but I think this is a very reasonable spot for the Twins, assuming that their bullpen doesn't get completely fried. But in a battle of two fried bullpens, like, who do we trust more? The Twins with Joe Ryan on the mound or the Tampa Bay Rays with Taj Bradley on the mound? Like, that'll still be a situation where I will like the Twins. So give me Minnesota in this game. Definitely a good chance to end up in the pinned comment. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, we got the New York Mets going on the road to take on the Texas Rangers. We see the Mets come into this game fresh off of a big come-from-behind 7-6 win there in Game 2 of this series. They have now won 7 straight games, so absolutely crazy stuff there. This is a very hot team. They're up to 35 and 37 on the season. Obviously, they've still got a lot of work to do, but they're for sure trending in the right direction. They're hitting the ball in this game to Sean Manaea. He's 4-3 this year with a 4.11 ERA coming off of a very good, although kind of short start there against the San Diego Padres. He went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits, only a single earned run. He did give up a home run in that game, so obviously that's not ideal, but he struck out 7 and walked 1, and it was a big bounce back from getting absolutely just obliterated by the Phillies and the Arizona Diamondbacks. So back-to-back pretty weak starts, followed up by a very good start there. So can feel positive about that. Can't feel too positive about the Mets bullpen. I mean, a 4.08 bullpen ERA is not great, but I think we can say it's headed in the right direction. I mean, this bullpen's getting a little bit better here, and yeah, the hitting has been what's really come alive for the Mets, guys. Their bats are absolutely on fire. They've scored 7, 14, 11, 5, 2, 3, and 10 runs, respectively, over this winning streak. Yeah, putting up double-digit scoring in 3 out of 10 games was not something I had on the bingo card for the Mets very often this year. I mean, they are up to 12th in the majors in runs scored and 9th in the majors in on-base percentage, but there have been some dark days for this offense at times, guys. It has not been all flowers and roses and, sunshine. It's been pretty tough at times for the Mets hitters. Starling Marte obviously has had a very good season. Pete Alonso, everybody was talking about how they should probably trade him. I bet they're not too interested in that right now. So yeah, they're hoping they can keep things rolling here going into Game 3 against the Rangers, who, man, they're having a hard time lately, guys. They've now lost 5 straight games. They're 33 and 40 on the year. They're handing the ball to Andrew Heaney, hoping he can turn things around for him, but he's 2-8 this year with a 4.19 ERA. He is coming off of back-to-back, I guess we'll call them decent starts, but giving up 3 earned runs over 4 2/3 innings on 6 hits and a home run to the Seattle Mariners his last time out. Not exactly elite stuff, guys. Over his last 2 starts, he hasn't looked amazing. He did have 2 shutout starts back-to-back and looking good there, but I mean, shutting out the Miami Marlins, not too special. Only lasting 2 1/3 innings in a bullpen appearance against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Not going to freak out about that. So yeah, not a guy that we're necessarily super high on this season or just in general. And the Rangers bullpen obviously hasn't been great either. A 4.14 bullpen ERA is not something we're going to get excited about either. The bats very, I'm not going to say very cold. Like, I mean, they scored 6, 2, 0, and 5 runs respectively over their last 4 games, but they've lost their last 5 in a row. Even in their wins, they're not scoring a ton of runs. They're down to 20th in the majors in runs scored, 22nd in the majors in slugging percentage. They're only getting on base at a 306 clip. I mean, Josh Smith is batting 298 this season, so good for him. That's pretty impressive, but other than that, not a lot of hitters on this lineup that scare me too much. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the red-hot New York Mets at minus 106, the Rangers at minus 110. We've got an over-under of 8.5 or 9 out there. We see the Mets are now up to 15 and 14 on the road. They've been a much better road team than home team all season long, just even independent of this current winning streak that they're on. We see mixed trends towards the over-under. We also see the Rangers are 16 and 18 at home. Guys, give me the New York Mets, the red-hot New York Mets in this game. I think they find a way to win another one here. They're only minus 106, so a very reasonable price. Hopefully we'll see a good start from Sean Manaea and the bullpen continue to hold up. So give me the Mets in this game. Hopefully those bats stay hot. Moving right along here, guys, we've got the Houston Astros going on the road to take on the Chicago White Sox. The Astros come to this game fresh off of a 2-0 loss there in Game 1 of the series at the Chicago White Sox. Seems like they weren't really up and ready to go for this game. They're 33 and 40 on the year, handing the ball to Hunter Brown, who's 3 and 5 this season with a 5.00 ERA. His last 2 starts have been dazzling, guys. He hasn't given up a run over his last 13 innings. Honestly, his last 5 starts have all been very, very positive. Unfortunately for him, he pitches for the Houston Astros, so he's only, we see that the Astros have only gone 2 and 3 over those starts. He's looked really, really good out there. He's got things figured out after a very bad start to his season, so he's looking good here. But, man, how good do we feel about the Houston Astros bullpen? I would say we feel pretty bad about a 4.20 bullpen ERA team just in general. not looking great out there. Not a lot of positives for me. And this offense just can't seem to figure things out, guys. I do not understand how they're getting shut out by the Chicago White Sox. This team puts up, I mean, they're putting up great counting stats, you would think, but they're all the way down to 14th in the majors in runs scored, despite being second in batting average and fourth in slugging percentage. Like, how does this happen? How does this continue to happen? It's been a trend for them all season long, so just not looking too good at the plate, and they might have their work cut out for them in this game going up against the Chicago White Sox, fresh off of that win. They've been alternating wins and losses over, it's like their last 5 or 6 games. They're only 20-54 this season, so, not a lot of positives, but one of their positives has been Garrett Crochet. He's 6-5 this season with a 3.16 ERA, and pitching for the Chicago White Sox, that is a hell of an accomplishment. He's coming off of a great start against Seattle Mariners, where he went 7 innings, gave up 2 hits, only a single earned run. He struck out 13 in that game. 2 games in a row with double-digit strikeouts. He's averaging more than 10 strikeouts over his last 4 starts combined, and that includes starts against the Baltimore Orioles, the Brewers, the Red Sox, and the Seattle Mariners. Like, bro is absolutely dealing out there, and you pretty much have to be if you're pitching for the White Sox and trying to put up anything positive, because the bullpen is terrible. A bullpen ERA of near 5, one of the worst in the majors, although that's a number that's slightly trending in a positive direction. They used to be the worst bullpen in the majors, and now they're, like, not quite worse, so give them a little bit of credit there. The bats remain the worst in the majors, guys, no question about that. Dead last in runs scored and on base percentage. Nothing positive happening there. Obviously, they only scored 2 runs to win this game, so they did have a 9-run outburst there at Arizona, so that's kind of impressive for them, but not a ton of positives. But looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see it's basically a coin flip. We've got the Astros at minus 109, the White Sox at plus 102. We've got an over-under of 7.5 in this game. Houston is a MLB best 43, 26, and 3 to the under. The White Sox are exactly 500 over-under team. So if you want to take a little bit of a look at the under in this game, that could make some sense to me. In general, I don't trust the White Sox bullpen enough to take them at plus 102 in this game, but I don't know. This is a tough spot. I guess give me the under in this game. Under 7.5 seems like a bit of a big ask, but we've got 2 guys throwing the ball really well out there, so I think the under could be a positive play. Next up, we've got the Los Angeles Dodgers going on the road to take on the Colorado Rockies. They won game 1 of this series 9-5. They're currently playing right now in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs. It looks like the Dodgers are going to come away with a huge comeback win. They're up 11-9 right now. They were down big in this one, and man, they just came absolutely storming back. They're 45-29 this season. Looks like it's going to be 46-29. Handing the ball to Bobby Miller in this game. He is 1-1 this season with a 5.40 ERA. He's going to be making his 4th start of the year. He didn't have a very good time against the Chicago Cubs back on the 5th a few months ago. It's going to be his first start in quite some time. First start in almost exactly 2 months, or something like 2 months and 2 weeks. So yeah, looks like he's coming back off the injured list from that shoulder thing, and gonna toss him out there against the Colorado Rockies and see how he does. He's only 25 years old. Not exactly expecting miracles from this guy, but he's also not going against the toughest competition here. The Dodgers bullpen has been very, very good this year, so if they have to got to yank Bobby Miller out of the game and put the bullpen out there, they can put up some pretty positive numbers. In general, guys, this team continues to hit the ball well. I really thought they'd have a little bit of a fall off here with Mookie Betts out, but that has not been the case at all. They're looking just great. Obviously, huge comeback. Looks like they're going to score. Yeah, looks like, yep, they scored 11 runs and won 11-9 in this game. So good stuff from their offense there. Ohtani looking great. No shocker there. This offense, one of the best in the majors. No question about that. They're taking on the Colorado Rockies, who have to be pretty devastated to get that big lead and then give it away there. They're down to 25-47 on the year. Handing the ball to Ryan Feltner. He's 1-6 this season with a 5.71 ERA. So not exactly loving life. His last start was against the Pirates. He went 6 2/3 innings, gave up 7 hits and 4 earned runs. He gave up 3 home runs in that game to the Pirates. Not the best look. And the Colorado bullpen, the shocker of the year, not amazing. I mean, having to pitch at Coors Field can't feel too good. So yeah, just not a lot of positive things to look at for the Rockies right now. I mean, I guess the bats are kind of hot. They scored quite a few runs here. They scored 9 runs, 5 runs, 2 runs, 16 runs. So it's a team that can put up some runs given the right conditions, but man, just not looking great. Not looking great this season at all. I mean, 19th in the majors in runs scored, 18th in on-base percentage. Doesn't seem like they can keep the Dodgers from scoring at all in this series, so definitely a lot of question marks there. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the odds makers are huge on the Dodgers. They've got them at minus 195. The Rockies are at plus 180. There's an over-under of 11 in this game, and with Feltner and Bobby Miller out there, I think the over 11 is very much in play in this game. I think we're going to see a lot of offense once again. I haven't double checked the bullpens, but I would assume quite a few bullpen guys were used in a game that ended 11-9. So I'm assuming both bullpens are going to be pretty burnt out for this game. So give me the over 11 as a slight lean in this game. I'm not interested in the Dodgers at that crazy high price. Do I think there's a chance the Rockies steal a game in this series? I sure do, but I think that would have happened yesterday. So yeah, no, not going anywhere near the pin comment for all the very obvious reasons, but I think over 11 has some value to it. Next on the docket, guys, we got the Milwaukee Brewers going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Angels. Game 2 of this series is currently going on right now. We have been riding with the Milwaukee Brewers in this one. They're up 6-0 there in the bottom of the 7th inning, so hopefully they can pull things out and grab the win, which would move them to 43-30 on the season. They're handing the ball to Freddie Peralta here for Game 3. He is 4-4 this year with a 4.38 ERA. He's coming off of a debacle of a start there against the Cincinnati Reds, guys. He went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 10 hits, and 6 earned runs. He gave 2 home runs in that game. He's been all over the place this season. Got off to a great start, and then ever since, just all over the place. Never know what you're going to get from him on a night-to-night basis. Wildly inconsistent. The Brewers' bullpen has been pretty consistent, honestly. It's a close to top 10 bullpen, not terrible, but, you know, not necessarily a dominant bullpen, not putting it up there with the big dogs in the MLB this season, that's for sure. The offense has been what carries them. I mean, obviously they haven't given up a run so far in this game, but they've put up 6 runs of their own, so that's pretty nice. That would be 6, 3, 5, 3, and 5 runs respectively over their last few games. Contreras obviously hitting the ball pretty well. This team is top 10 in most of the major offensive categories. 7th in runs scored, 6th in the majors, batting .253 as a team. Their team on base percentage is .329, which is also very respectable. They've got plenty of very solid hitters, so feel pretty good about this offense, but how will they do going up against the Angels here in Game 3? The Angels obviously not having a great time. Trout saying that his recovery is taking longer than he would have hoped, but I mean, what is the rush to bring him back? Your team is 29-43 on the season. The Angels are handing the ball to Tyler Anderson in this game. He's been one of their very few bright spots. He's 6-6 this year with a 2.58 ERA, coming off of a very serviceable start there at San Francisco, where he went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 5 hits, but only a single earned run. He really didn't have his best stuff. He walked 5 hitters in that game, but he also struck out 5. He pretty much gives this Angels team a shot to win every time that he's out there on the field, but man, it's got to feel tough pitching for the Angels every night, knowing you're going to go out there and that, yeah, once you come out of the game, you're giving the ball to like one of the worst bullpens in the majors by, I mean, a 4.82 bullpen ERA, pretty freaking bad. This offense has had its moments this year, but Game 2 isn't looking like it's going to be one of them. They are 21st in the majors in runs scored. They are 23rd in the majors on base percentage, so not a ton of positives to find there. Just not a great offensive team right now. Look at the numbers for this game. We see the Brewers at -154, the Angels at +136. We've got an over-under of 8.5 or 8 showing out there. The Brewers are 20-18 on the road, but the Angels are only 12-23 at home. Kind of a tough spot in this game, guys. I definitely don't trust the Brewers with Freddie Peralta on the mound. The Angels can put up some runs. They didn't put up any runs there in game 2 of this series, but things could change here in Game 3 with the Brewers, trying to salt away the series win here. I honestly like the Angels +136 a little bit with Tyler Anderson on the mound. Maybe take the Angels first 5 would be a pretty good spot. I think there's a good chance that they'll be winning going into whenever they hand the ball to the bullpen. So give me the Angels +136 as a small lean in this one. Is it going in the pinned comment? No way, Jose. Next on the docket, guys, we got the Kansas City Royals. They're going on the road to take on the Oakland Athletics. The Royals come into this game fresh off of that 3-0 loss to finish out their series against the Dodgers. They're actually currently playing right now. We see the Royals are down 7-3 in the top of the 7th inning, so things are not looking too great for them. They had a really bad 3rd inning, and yeah, things just not shaping up. This team continues to have a little bit of a hard time. They're looking like they're going to be 41-33 on the season, unless they can really get after it against that bad Oakland A's bullpen, which not impossible. They're handing the ball in this game to Cole Rangans. He's 4-4 this season with a 3.14 ERA, coming off of a serviceable but not dominant start there against the Dodgers. He went 7 innings, gave up 6 hits and 3 earned runs. He gave up 2 home runs in that game, which obviously not amazing, but in general this season he's been very, very serviceable. I mean, over his last 5 starts, he's given up 3, 1, 1, 2, and 0 earned runs. We see the Royals are only 2 and 3 over those starts though, so that's a bit of a concern. The Royals bullpen, not a bullpen that I would say is trending in a positive direction. I mean, a 3.79 bullpen ERA is not the end of the world. But also, guys, just not a bullpen that I feel great about at the exact moment. Hitters not looking amazing. I mean, they've only scored, 3 runs so far going into the middle of the 7th in their current game. So That's not exactly what you're looking for. And yeah, I've just got some questions right now about how this team is playing. They're not looking their best out there. They're going up against an Oakland Athletics team that obviously not a lot to play for this season, guys. 26 and 48 on the year. Handing the ball in this one to Luis Medina. He's 0-2 this year with a 5.87 ERA, coming off of a bad start there at the Minnesota Twins, where he gave up 8 hits and 4 earned runs over 5 innings of work. He struck out 3 and walked 1. I mean, I guess a little bit better than his outing against the Toronto Blue Jays, but bro is not having a great time out there. And when you're getting backed up by the A's bullpen, that can't feel amazing either. A 4.36 bullpen ERA, it puts them way down there in the bottom of the majors, definitely in the bottom third, more like, even worse than that. So can't feel great about that. Also, don't feel amazing about this offense, although they have scored at least 7 runs 2 games in a row. So maybe they're swinging some relatively hot bats, but this team is dead last in the majors in team batting average. They're 28th in on base percentage, getting on base at a 291 clip. Their run scored is 28th in the majors, just not a ton of positives for this offense. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Royals at -175, the A's at +150. We've got an over-under of 7.5 in this game. Honestly, guys, I think the over is very, very live in this one. I don't know if it'll end up in the pinned comment. We do have both teams showing trends towards the under, but I think we're going to see some offense in this one. I think the Royals are going to get after Medina. I don't think we trust Rangans to just shut down the A's, even though it's the A's. Pitching on the road and just being on the road in general is not the best spot for the Royals. So give me over 7.5 as a small lean in this one, but yeah, not going in the pinned comment. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.